Welcome back. It's a big story time on Breakfast Extra. Now, Nigeria's finances are back in sharp focus this morning. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajudeen, has raised the alarm that our rising debt profile has reached what he calls a critical point. He said Nigeria's total public debt now stands at 149.39 trillion naira. That's about $97 billion in the first quarter of 2025 alone. That's a steep jump from 121.7 trillion naira just last year. The numbers don't just end here. Nigeria's debt-to-GDP ratio has climbed to 52%, overshooting the 40% ceiling set by our laws. Abbas warned this is a stain on fiscal sustainability, one that risks dragging us into a circle where debt servicing consumes more than healthcare, education, and the very social services citizens depend on. He called for stronger oversight, transparent borrowing, and for reforms that ensure every borrowed naira is tied to visible development. He also announced plans for a regional debt oversight framework under WAPAC, aimed at harmonizing transparency across West Africa.
And citizens are feeling the weight already. Prices are climbing, services are shrinking, and future generations are staring at obligations they didn't sign up for. Oversight, the Speaker reminds us, isn't just about numbers, but about the lives tied to those numbers. With us to break this down is Idris Zekeri, political activist and public affairs commentator. Idris, thank you. Good morning for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's an absolute delight to share this platform. And I must say, both of you are looking wonderful this morning.
Oh,
stop it. Don't stop. We like it.
So, Idris, let's talk about this. You know, Nigeria, there's always something. There's always something. And now when the Speaker describes Nigeria's debt as at a critical point, what does that mean? What does that mean for ordinary citizens beyond the statistics?
I am delighted that the elites, for the first time, are beginning to tell themselves the truth, are beginning to have conversations that resembles truthfulness in the highest places. And this coming from the Speaker of the House of Rep is specifically something that I want to commend, but I hate to commend because he occupies a position that is supposed to ensure that we don't borrow ourselves into oblivion. Now, in 2015, I want to start from 2015 because I can't go back as far as 1999 when these democratic tests. As we speak, 145 and 150 trillion naira in debt. Now, the guys borrowing this money are in their 70s, 80s, and sometimes even 90s, if you look at the actual age, not the football age. Now, the people that are going to pay this debt are not even you and I, who are in our midlife. The people that are going to pay this debt are those who are coming up, our children unborn. So the question I ask all the time when I have this kind of conversation is, who gave these men occupying position now the right to borrow on behalf of 6 months old, 2-year-old children unborn? So we are in serious trouble. Now, I'll tell you some of the things we are borrowing for now. Nigeria today is borrowing to service the debt they have already borrowed. Like, take for example, you are a salary earner. You earn a specific money a month. Now you've borrowed so much that your salary can no longer pay what you borrowed, can no longer pay the interest of what you borrowed. You are now borrowing to pay interest on money borrowed. It's difficult, but see why we are borrowing is that we are borrowing for consumption. Our politicians are getting fatter, are getting bigger. They are having bigger convoys. They are driving newer cars. They are living with a federal minister who has bought houses in Atlanta. They are buying houses in Dubai. But the poor men, the poor masses, I don't like calling people the poor masses, the citizens are shrinking. We are shrinking. Now we are asked to pay more taxes. The conversation in the last few months has been more taxes. So the question I ask is, when does it stop? Who gave the men in power today the authority to borrow on behalf of children unborn?
That's a very relevant question, Idris. I mean, yeah, they're going to be born into a system they never asked to be born into. So I understand that. Now, however, let's talk about the gains that we've been recording, or at least the gains that they tell us that Nigeria is recording. What do you think about these? Inflation falling, the Naira, well, it's still over 1,500 Naira, but they say that it's at its strongest lately. These gains, how do you think they measure up with the borrowing that Nigeria has been borrowing?
Question, and I like to answer this kind of question. The easy way to measure gain is to look at the life of the people. I don't believe in figures bandied on television and newspaper. The question I am going to ask you, our beautiful sister there, yourself, the gentleman, and citizens watching us today is your life better today than it was 10 months ago? Is your life better today than it was 10 years ago? I give you a personal example. 3 Christmas ago, from the income of my own personal expenses, I was able to give 100 bags of rice during Christmas. As I speak to you now, there is no rice in the kitchen. I mean, there's rice, but we're now buying rubber. You can no longer buy bags. And they say, okay, now the rice is cheaper, but the currency has less value today than it had 2 years ago. So these are the questions you should ask. Nigeria, I went to Lagos the other day. I like giving practical examples. I don't like too much statistics because that's what they use to deceive us. I went to Lagos the other day and I was able to drive from Igondo to Lekki in 1 hour. That should be fantastic news. But the problem with that is that I saw a lot less cars on the road. And I asked question, what has happened? Did people leave Lagos? They say no. As soon as we went to around 800, 900, a lot of people sold their cars. A lot of people parked their cars at home. That is economic disempowerment. So we can go on, and people say, oh, there are positives. Now, when they tell you of the positives, they say we are borrowing to build infrastructures. And the question I ask you, our lady in the studio and citizens listening, is where are the infrastructure? We have moved from 44 trillion in 2015 to 150 trillion in 2025. What is different in your area? What have you seen different in your area? You still cannot travel from Benin to Abuja without reserving money for kidnappers. You still cannot travel from Benin to Akure without reserving money for kidnappers. You cannot travel Benin to Lagos. The road, the Ovia Bridge has collapsed. Now they say we are borrowing to do coastal road. There are a lot of roads in Nigeria. There is no place in Nigeria that is not connected by road, abate bad roads. Why have we not fixed those ones instead of borrowing for White Elephant project? And this is not a critique on the coastal road. I am just saying, why not? So we can go on and have this conversation. The question I always ask is, has the life of the average Nigerian changed from 10 years ago till now that we are owing 100 trillion more than we were owing 10 years ago? That is the question I want us to answer.
Wow.
So, Zekeri, you also mentioned earlier about, these loans that they take is for children unborn, and citizens are hearing
Absolutely.
that, they've taken loans in their name. But, of course, we've not seen change in roads, hospitals, or school. How can accountability be enforced, to link the borrowing to visible impact?
I will answer your question, but before answering that question, I'll make a statement. Okay. Every reckless borrowing you see today is a tax on the future. So if they take any money today, that money is going to be paid back. Maybe not by them, maybe not by us, but definitely by our children, born and unborn. So you have postponed the evil days when you borrow without plan on how to repay. That's the question. Now, to answer your question, I have always advocated for project-based budgeting. So you don't just tell me we have budgeted 1 trillion for security. You will tell me that we have budgeted 1 trillion. We are going to recruit 100 new soldiers, 100,000 new soldiers, 200,000 new policemen. We are going to equip them with so amount, and this is the amount we are going to use to feed them. There is a scandal that came out a couple of days ago where a a pack of sardine was bought for almost 9,000 naira by our police. I'm quoting a reputable newspaper, Sahara Reporter, online newspaper. So that is not my words. They can go and meet Sahara Reporters to explain in details. So we know the economy is bad, but to show you how much they are borrowing to steal, people are buying sardine at almost 9,000 naira for one in our government. We are seeing government buying yachts. We are seeing government buying bulletproof vehicles. When I say government, people should not think I am limiting it to the president alone. Our governors are equally as hopeless and helplessly corrupt as the presidency. So these are the project-based budgeting. To answer your question, project-based budgeting. You don't just say I budgeted 500 billion for roads. You say I have budgeted 50 billion for the road that will take you from Benin to Lokoja, or from Lagos to Badagry, or from Lagos to Abeokuta. Not just blank budgeting that makes it easy to steal. By the time you do project-based budgeting, as citizen, I can say, okay, 50 billion was voted for this project. Mr. Governor, where is the project?
Zekeri, let's look at alternatives. What alternative do you think Nigeria has when it comes to its not depending on borrowing, yet trying to make sure development continues? How do you think perhaps maybe Nigeria could rely or lean on PPP, private, what do you call PPP? Can't remember exactly what it's called.
Public-private partnerships.
Public-private partnerships to be able to work against this borrowing pattern we see Nigeria having here. And do you think that will work? Do you think that will not be selling Nigeria to these partners?
No, that's a fantastic question again. I usually tell people the same advice I give to individuals, which is microeconomics, is the same advice I give to nations or states. It is not the amount, it is the utilization of what you have. If what Nigeria is generating today is properly utilized, I guarantee you, so help me God, our life will be better without needing to borrow. I give you a few examples. We have custom and excise duties. It's in the billions, it's in the trillions actually, not billions. They've removed subsidy on fuel. It's in the trillions. They are having oil money. It's in the trillions. People are mining and cutting away gold, diamond, iron ore, and expensive metal from the north. It's in the trillions. If the government is honest and blocks all the loopholes surrounding these revenue sources, we do not need to borrow a kobo from anybody to meet our financial obligations. Of course, what is the financial obligations anyway? How much is our policemen be paid? I always tell people, if you pretend to pay your workers, they will pretend to work for you. If you are paying a police constable 120,000 naira and you give him a rifle to go and protect the citizen, he will use that rifle as a revenue generating tool. And that is why what we see, that is why if you go to police station in the night, POS agents are working there. Our policemen are doing everything apart from policing. You see, our police stations are as busy as microfinances banks. So this is the issue. We are pretending to run a country, and these people are pretending to be running a proper country, and they are not. So what we are saying is,
Zekeri,
you have is enough.
Zekeri, real quick.
PPP.
Thank you. Yes,
is good
PPP.
on paper.
Go ahead. Yes, that's what I want.
PPP is good on paper, but on the ground, it's usually grand deception when it is not properly planned. We have done PPP before. What is the outcome of it? Now, you can do PPP. You can do like you build a road and you put toll on it. Fantastic. Good way to recover some of the money. But question is, what has been done in the past? By the time you give it to politicians, instead of giving it to proper experts who can run it and make it profitable, you shoot yourself on the foot. And that's what we've had. PPP is fantastic. I support it. But the problem is that we have very dishonest individuals occupying positions of power.
Well, Zekeri, I want to say thank you very much. A very interesting input that you put here inside of this conversation. I haven't seen it the way that you put it before, but it's very, and I can see your passion shine through for this, these matters. So my takeaway from this is a very humorous point that you made about the Nigerian police stations as they work as microfinance banks at night. That blew me away. We had a little snigger behind the cameras here, myself and Queen. Zekeri, we will continue to follow this, and hopefully we'll continue to have you on as a discussant for these subjects. But one final advice, and a short one, for Nigeria when it comes to these excesses in borrowing, please.
I think our leaders have to repent and give their life to Christ. For those who believe in, who are Christians should give their life to Christ. Those who are not Christians should say 1,000 Astaghfirullah in the middle of their parlor. And let us now join hands together and run a proper country. We cannot continue to deceive ourselves. That is one. To the citizens, we must pay closer attention to the way government business is run. If you continue to stay aloof, very soon the end will come home to roost. And one of the end coming home to roost now is the new tax policy for January 1st. By the time you start paying your money to a government that is not accountable to you, I believe you will take more interest in government business. And like I usually ask, you go vote, Abi, you no go vote. The question is up to you to answer.
Zekeri, on that ominous note, we say thank you.
Thank you.
And we look forward to having you again for another conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.